probably anywhere in Texas, yesterday's the best time to buy real estate. Because if you wait till tomorrow, you're going to pay more. And that's just proven with data. That's not me trying to drive business to my area so I can do more loans or whatever. That's just the data.
Service members should get the most out of their VA benefits for home ownership. That's our belief, and that's why we're here. So whether you're looking to own your dream home, considering refinancing, or just exploring the VA home loan process, you've come to the right place. Welcome to Helping Heroes Become Homeowners. So when does it make sense to move out of a normal city urban area and consider rural or less populated area? Our home is more affordable in a rural location and that have room to grow. And what will the real estate market look like in a few months for military home buyers? Hi, my name is Richard Sarey. I'm with Alliance Mortgage Group, and I'm your podcast host for Helping Heroes Become Homeowners. And today we have a guest from Van Alstyne, Billy Medlock, broker owner of Crew Real Estate located in downtown Van Alstyne. Billy, thank you for joining us, buddy.
Hey, thank y'all for having me. Happy to be here.
And we also have Ryan Gibson, loan officer with Alliance Mortgage as well.
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Billy, you're at Van Alstyne. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and what got you into real estate real quick?
Yeah. I think real estate so let me back up. Previously, I had a landscape construction company, probably 10 or 15 years and really enjoyed that. But I was always kind of a one-man show, so digging ditches can only take you so far. And I'd always had an interest in real estate, right? You read any of the books, you look on any of the podcasts now, everybody talks about real estate. And I dealt with people my whole life. I'd had relationships. So I got into it 7 or 8 years ago, went to 2 brokerages, had great experiences there. And then the end goal was always to own and operate my own brokerage. So finally got home here to Van Alstyne, and now we're trying to build it here.
Awesome. Very cool. And I know, Ryan, you've got, you guys been working together now for how long?
Oh, Billy, we met, a little over a year and a half ago, something like that. Yeah. So I've been able to kind of watch that office grow, and lucky enough to, they've brought me in to help with some things. And so I've been pretty connected with Billy and his team, and they're in a awesome location. If you don't know Van Alstyne, I've always kind of said downtown Van Alstyne reminds me of downtown McKinney, 20, 30 years ago. They're doing things right. A lot of small kind of mom and pop shops in downtown Van Alstyne, and Billy and his office is right in the middle of all that. They're in a great spot.
So what do the market trends look like right now in Van Alstyne? What's happening out there? Why are people moving out there?
Well, Van Alstyne is, for as long as I've lived here, it's always been somewhat of a destination. Right now, Van Alstyne's about as hot as it gets in North Texas. Great schools. It's still a little bit of country, right? So this kind of goes back to COVID. I'm sure y'all saw this, but COVID hit in Dallas, even Plano. Everybody real close together wanted to get a little bit more space. So we saw a ton during COVID, and it's just continued to grow. Great schools, like Ryan mentioned, great community. And it's got enough land still that, there's a lot of professional interest as far as developers and stuff like that, if they can make a profit and put a good home in for somebody, obviously that's a big deal too.
Are there pricing differences between rural and suburban out there? Or are they catching up to one another? Yeah.
Van Alstyne, it's still small enough where Van Alstyne's Van Alstyne, right?
Okay.
In town to rural, and unless there's land involved, the home price as far as per square foot is going to be pretty similar.
Pretty similar from inside of Van Alstyne, to rural Van Alstyne, but we're still quite a bit cheaper if you took like a price per square foot, because I live in Van Alstyne too. I know you know that, Rich, but price per square foot compared to, say, Frisco or Plano or something like that, we're still a fair amount cheaper than those areas, right, Billy?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that's what you were asking about, Rich.
So if I was considering McKinney, I should also maybe consider Van Alstyne outside of, thinking the drive is a little further than it could be, right?
Yes, but here's what's interesting. So when we lived in McKinney before we moved here, and when we first looked at the house that we're in now, we loved it, but we thought it's just too far. Tracy worked in Frisco, I worked in McKinney. It's just too far. That was our initial thought. And we sat one night, and our favorite place to go when we'd go out for dinner, whatever, entertainment, whatever, we'd go to downtown McKinney, the square, because there's so much to do there. We love that area. We still do. Where we lived over in Stonebridge, I think it was called. I mapped it from Stonebridge to downtown McKinney was 18 minutes. And then I mapped from this house that we're now in to downtown McKinney was 20 minutes. There was no difference because of all the traffic and whatnot. We're here, you jump on 75 and get wherever you're going fast. So, and we live close to 75, right. So that helps in that aspect. But you get more bang for your buck out here for sure still. But that gap's closing. I mean, don't you think so, Billy?
Yeah, I mean, you can just look at it, right? Like it started in Plano, then McKinney, 30, 40 years ago. Now, if you look at Melissa, a fun little side note. So I went to high school here in Van Alstyne, here locally. Graduated 03, that kind of dates me. But when we were in high school here, Melissa didn't have, if you went to Melissa elementary and middle school, you had to go to Anna, McKinney, or Van Alstyne. There was no high school there in Melissa. And, this is 20, 21 years ago. So in that short of a period, Melissa, if you know anything about North Texas, Melissa has absolutely exploded, and that growth just continues to come north. Anna, same deal, right? Van Alstyne, Anna, same size 20 years ago. Now, Van Alstyne, it's just it's the next stop on that corridor, that 75. So,
yeah. So I hear a lot about, I've lived in Frisco for 20 plus years, and has always been a challenge to find space. You can find the house space, but you can't find the land space. Is there land space out there as well that is still affordable?
Yeah. And, honestly, Richard, that's probably the biggest draw to Van Alstyne still, is that developers are doing a good job of building those communities outside city limits. They're still giving you an acre, which, if you grew up here, that's not that much. If you grew up in McKinney or Frisco, an acre's a whole lot of land. So there's still a good blend of, you still have your small communities, your HOAs inside the city. If that's what you want, there's plenty of that here. But if you do need that space, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but there's many, many subdivisions, even the newest ones that are just now being developed. I think the builders recognize the value, and the people wanting to come up north, they're still doing 1 acre lots. So yeah, it's a good mixture.
And are the taxes still affordable with that large acreage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 1 acre doesn't hurt you. It gets finicky when we start talking about kind of farm and ranch and agriculture exemption and stuff like that. There's some check marks you got to hit, right? I'm sure y'all know this on the tax points, but the 1 acre, it's up here. It's not that big a difference.
But there's also plenty of, if you want 10 acres, if you want 20 acres, there's plenty of that. I know you have some listings with acreage like that beyond just the 1 acre lots.
Absolutely. Especially further out, right? Most of the listings out there, honestly.
Yeah.
At least an acre, but most of them, I would say on average, within Van Alstyne city limits, once you get out of city limits proper, so Van Alstyne city, technically, they're all, I bet it's 5 to 12 acres on average.
Yeah.
That's nice. Can't find that here.
No. And if you do, you can't afford it.
Right. Absolutely.
At least I can. You mentioned the growth, Billy, like the corridor, everything continually slowly moving north. And that makes me think about like some of the things we've heard recently, the big announcements. TI with that one, that announcement was a couple years ago, but it's still, it's happening now. It's about to hit. and then the other two, help me out here, Hard Rock and
Margaritaville.
Margaritaville. Like, I'll let you speak to that, like what that's going to do, what it's going to continue to do to this area. I think you said you were looking at numbers on what that's going to bring.
Yeah, Margaritaville specifically, that's on the Texas side. So the Hard Rock's on the Oklahoma side. The Hard Rock it was either 6,000 or 9,000 jobs. It was a bunch of jobs. But the Margaritaville one, so Denison's already pretty big. Again, I'm dating myself. When I was here, Denison was huge, right? Denison was Dallas to me. Everything's grown since then, but that Margaritaville, and it's going to be a bunch of stuff, multi-use, but it's supposed to double the population of Denison. So you can imagine
That's
in turn,
crazy.
yeah, it's really
So
crazy.
is Margaritaville just a giant hotel that's going in? Is that what?
No, it's supposed to be a hotel. I think they're going to have communities within it. Obviously, the Margaritaville thing is going to be part of it. So
Right.
you can expect, the restaurants, the whole social experience, but it's supposed to be a mixed use deal. It's supposed to be really, really neat.
And you said that is going to bring jobs and therefore population that's supposed to double the population of Denison?
Double the population. I think the Margaritaville one, obviously it's going to bring jobs, but I think it's going to bring more. It's going to bring more people than jobs probably. And back to your point, it's just going to continue the growth along 75.
Oh, there we go. It's just a delay.
Back. We lost you for a second, Bill.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, we're still good. It won't show on the video.
And then Hard Rock, I think I read, brings over, you said 6 to 9. I think I saw 9,000 jobs.
Did you?
And then TI and that other, that computer chip manufacturer or whatever, that's over 5,000 jobs at least, if maybe more. I can't remember what I saw on that one. There's just a ton of growth, not to mention all the other just stuff, right? That's just naturally moving this way and has been for years.
You're going to
years.
have infrastructure and all that put together too, right?
Yeah. Yep. There is so much growth coming for this area. And Van Alstyne sits right between McKinney and Sherman. Like it's almost exactly between McKinney and Sherman. So as McKinney, continues to grow, especially north, McKinney still has a lot to build out on. They're not maxed out by any means. A lot of people think McKinney's been a big for so long, there's probably not much left. There's plenty. But it's getting built up too. And then, Sherman, Denison, we're right between that here in Van Alstyne. So this Van Alstyne market, it's hot now. It's just going to get hotter and hotter and hotter.
Yep.
Yeah, because you're still going to have an inventory problem. I would have to think homes aren't going to be built as fast as people are moving to those areas. However, I would imagine people who need rent, the rental market is going to increase too. So I think if you're looking to buy now is probably a pretty good time, regardless of what the interest rate markets are doing. You're still going to offset a little bit of that with the appreciation over 5-10 years, right?
You cut out about the last 10 or 15 seconds. Sorry.
I was saying that the interest rates, regardless of what the interest rate markets are doing, you're still going to have appreciation, over the next 5 or 10 years with the growth you guys just explained. That's happening there.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. All the, what's that?
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Okay, sorry, we're breaking up a little bit. But yeah, even with the interest rate, and obviously y'all can speak a lot more of this than I can, but we kind of see it from our end of the deal. Even with the interest rates not being what they were, we really haven't slowed down. It has continued to grow, and there's no end in sight right now until we run out of land. So,
yeah, I know what Billy was saying there. We're having a connection issue with Billy. But, we always say, people in our industry always say, now's the best time to buy. You should buy now. And I think people outside of our industry probably sometimes think, of course you say that. You want that commission check. But
yeah,
it's the truth. That's why we say it. Sure, I want to get paid. I need to put food on the table for my family, but it's the truth. When can you point to in the last several decades anywhere in our metroplex where it was a bad time to buy? where it wasn't a good investment. There's really no time. And that even a couple years ago when prices were super inflated, if you bought 2 years ago and you had to win out on 20 different offers, it was still a good time to buy, because the value of that home you paid for, that you maybe felt like you had to overpay to get it, it hasn't gone down. If it has, it's gone down, that much. But in most places, it hasn't gone down. It's maybe even gone up from there. And with all this growth we're talking about, it's going to go up and up and up. So yesterday's always the best time to buy real estate. I truly believe that. There's nothing, maybe not in California, maybe not in Arizona, but in North Texas, and really probably anywhere in Texas, yesterday's the best time to buy real estate. Because if you wait till tomorrow, you're going to pay more. And that's just proven with data. That's not me trying to drive business to my area so I can do more loans or whatever. That's just the data.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And with the programs that we have access to, I mean, we talked about on a podcast a few weeks ago about down payment assistance, and we've had a few other programs released to help even further with that. So, I know it's hard to save. Everything's expensive. It's hard to put the extra pennies back, but we have programs that will help pick that up and get them into the home. So, if you can get it into a budget and you're comfortable with that payment on the budget, it'd be silly not to do that. I want to say silly. That's maybe not the right word. Invest in your future if you can afford the payment.
Yep. When you get to our age, whatever age that may be, not 20 or 30, we'll say that, like 20 or 30-year-old me would never have imagined I could have been in the house I'm in now, let's just say. But the reason I was able to do that is because I just got in the game in my early 20s. It was easier then to get in the game. There's no question. But I got in the game. And then that house appreciated, and I made some money, and I was able to buy a little bit bigger house. And then that house appreciated, I made good money, and then I was able to buy a nicer home, a better investment even. It's just a matter of, you got to get in the game. And like you said, Rich, even though it was maybe a little easier then, there's some things out there now that are making it easier again for first-time home buyers, because we do have a lot of first-time home buyers in the market right now. That's what I feel, at least. I had a guy yesterday reach out and say, hey, I've got good credit, I've got a good job, but I only have about $7,500 in savings. Is there any way I can get into a home? Yes, with those programs. And I mean, I can touch on that FHA one. That's the one I'm most familiar with. But maybe, Rich, would you cover the newer BPA program?
So we have a lender, Billy, that is offering 3% up to $15,000 in down payment assistance. There's no interest being ran on that. It's filed as a second lien, but no payments are required on it. So if you refi or sell the property, yes, that lien will then be satisfied. But if you're a first-time home buyer, or your income limits are under 80% of the county limit, then you qualify for that program. If you're a first-time home buyer and you make $1 million a month, but you're a first-time home buyer, you qualify for that program. So in terms of, it's so hard to save for the down payment, we have a program now that's going to give you 3% of your down payment and not have any interest run on that. You just have to pay it back if you refi or sell the property down the road. So his investment back to the broker world, because he owns the company, is this down payment assistance program. So it's, if everybody's a first-time home buyer, but they exceed the income limit for the county, doesn't matter. They're going to do that program. That's a conventional product. And then you have Ryan's FHA product, if we have to fall back on that. And then you have the VA product, where it's 100% financing. So, there's other ways to get into the home at an affordable price if you don't have a lot of money for down payment.
And USDA.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
what is
4 options now.
Right. So what's that main difference? Because we've sent a couple people to Ryan, I believe, with the FHA, the down payment assistance one, and got great feedback. So what are the major differences in the FHA one and that conventional product that you just talked about?
Ryan, you want to answer that? Or you want me
to? We can.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, I'll say on the FHA product, it's a completely forgivable grant. where on the conventional product, you do have to pay it back when you sell or refinance. The reason I say we, Rich, is I'm not sure how that prices. I haven't priced that newer one yet. So it could be that conventional is a better rate.
Well, conventional is going to be priced out as a Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, first-time home buyer product. So all your loan level price adjustments that we have on a product that somebody who's buying a home that's not a first-time home buyer, those go away. So your pricing does improve a little bit. As far as the FHA piece, they're building into the pricing at the interest rate by doing that forgivable second. So there's really no buying down or doing whatever. The rate is what it is. On the conventional piece, you can still do a temporary rate buy down on the product. You can do a discount point buy down on the product. You're getting a discounted mortgage insurance rate as well because you're a first-time home buyer. The only difference in that is that you have a lender doing the DAP versus your traditional state or county grants that you can also try and get as well.
Yeah. And I mean, there's some little differences too. Like if you're doing the conventional product, you're going to have mortgage insurance, but it could go away. If you stay in that loan long term and there's enough appreciation, where on the FHA loan, that's not going away unless you refinance out of it into a conventional loan. So there's probably some other, smaller differences. The FHA product has no income limitations of any kind, first-time homebuyer or not, where the conventional might. But this is why when we start talking about what works best, I mean, this is what Rich and I do. We need the application. We need to see the full profile of somebody. We need to know, what the credit scores are. We need to know what debt to income ratios are. And then that's what we do. Our job is to go find the best product for that person. We don't work for a bank. We're not limited to our bank and their guidelines or our lender and their guidelines. We work for you, Billy, and the client you refer to us, and only you and the client you refer to us. So we go out and we're signed up with multiple different wholesale lenders, and we'll find the best fit for that application, that credit score, their situation.
Right. Well, and back to your point earlier about getting in the game, I couldn't agree more. And I have a wide, I'm sure just like y'all, you've got clients of all different types, all different situations. And I've got close friends that, honestly, that's the scariest part for them, right? It's filling out that app. And I get it. When I bought our first house, I was in the same boat, scared to death, fill out the app. We finally did it. We flew through, we got a house. And that is, I would say at least, and this is just my data, so don't Google it because it's probably not correct, but 90% of the people that are my clients that I deal with, they're selling something to buy something, right? So you get in the game, you sell it, you get into a new one.
Well, Billy, you cut out a lot with everything you were saying, and I wish that wasn't the case because I wanted to hear what you were saying there.
Really good stuff. It was really good stuff.
It was their best stuff, I'm sure. I think you were saying something along the lines of just getting people to that comfort level of doing an application to see what they might be able to qualify for is sometimes the biggest hurdle. Is that what you were getting at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've talked about that a little bit before.
Yeah. And go ahead.
No, we've talked about that before. And I totally get that people, they want to buy, but they don't think that they can, so they don't even want to bother with it. I get it, but we may be able to do things for people that they don't expect we can do. And we can find that out with 5 minutes to do an application, just sitting on your couch one night, just get it done. It comes directly to us. We don't have to do a hard credit inquiry in most cases. Sometimes we need to, but we'll talk before we would do that, obviously. And we can get a real good idea of, I think we can make this work as long as you stay under this price point, and we get a seller concession or whatever. Or we can say, it doesn't look like you're there right now. Here's what you need to do over the next 6 months, year, whatever, to get yourself in a position to buy, next year. That's what we're here for. I mean, that's what we do. Rich and I have both been doing this over 20 years, going on, I'm almost at 25 years, I think, which means, Rich, you're longer than me.
Well, I wanted to add your point on that is a lot of people don't want to do an application because they get inundated with what they see online.
Yeah.
And they, not real sure what they're doing or what they're answering or what they're trying to calculate. But, that payment might be a heck of a lot lower if you talk to a mortgage broker or talk to someone else, because the online version of what the interest rate is always a delayed rate. You got to update those from last week's rate. We're real-time running market rate on the wholesale side. So what you might be seeing online, it may not be what you have today in front of you.
And to add to that, you mentioned we might be able to save them money. We will be able to save them money almost every time. And there's data that supports that. And this was the whole brokers are better mantra. I've originated for banks. I've originated for lenders. But I originate as a broker for a reason. And it is because I think the shift that's happened in our industry over the last several years makes it the best way. We save people on average. I think this was as of 2021, so it might be a little different now. But I believe, Rich, the number was like $9,400.
Over the initial origination and the life of the loan was about $9,400.
Initial origination, so fees and whatnot combined with interest savings over the life of the loan. When you originate your mortgage with a broker like us, you on average save $9,400 or somewhere right in there. And it's even more for minorities. It's over $10,000 if you're a minority borrower that you save originating with a broker versus a bank or lender. And you couple that with the service you're going to get working with us compared to somebody that's at a bank. I've worked at a bank and I thought I provided great service. It doesn't mean, I'm not saying that anybody that's not a broker doesn't provide good service. But when you work with a broker, we're here in the community. We know a lot of the same people you know. And we're not strapped to a desk phone from 8 to 5 or whatever. You've got our personal cell phone. You can call or text us anytime. I think I'm able to provide better service as a broker than I was when I was at a bank, operating under, bank rules, bank red tape, if you will. So there's a long list of reasons why I believe people should work with a broker like us, whether it's us or another broker. There's data out there to support that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, did I just go off on a little tangent?
No. You went a little soapbox. That's good. That's good information. I know we got about 10 minutes left, but I do want to jump in and talk real quick with you, Billy, about what your thoughts are on the NAR settlement. I know we want to talk a little bit about the VA perspective on that, but anything on your side of things on how you're handling that with your agents when it comes to representing buyers or your sellers?
As far as on the client's end, not a lot yet. Obviously it comes up sometimes, and we talk about it. We're doing a lot more within the brokerage to prepare, and we're also getting with you guys, right? We're getting with the lenders saying, what does it look like on your end, especially the VA buyers, stuff like that. Nothing's official. It won't be official. I think we're going to implement changes as far as the MLSs, stuff like that, mid-August. The hearing's not until November. So, we get all kind of stuff from our clients about what the new rule is and this and that. And it's social media. It's just today's age. We deal with that. We tell them what we know, but we're focusing a lot more on what we do within the brokerage. As far as what we do is in the brokerage, nothing really changed. I know y'all know this. All the stuff that whole thing's about, it's really the way we've always done it anyway. So that's not a big deal. The thing, I think we talked about this one day, the thing that I think it's going to hurt VA buyers, as y'all know, initially you cannot pay an agent. You cannot compensate an agent for helping you buy a home. That's a huge deal, right? Like if that seller's not offering compensation for that buyer's agent or not willing to do concessions, that veteran is there without any way to compensate their agent. Likewise, first-time home buyers. We just talked about, people being nervous. I was nervous first time I bought a home. Now you have to worry about coming up with X amount of dollars if the seller doesn't want to provide or if they don't want to do concessions. It doesn't mean they can't or won't. But if they
Right.
choose not to, which is well within their rights, it always has been, then that kind of puts those first-time home buyers, those VA home buyers, in a spot. So I don't know. Like I said, we haven't focused on it as far as doing, anything on social media yet because we don't know. It's not done.
Yeah.
But as far as within the
So,
brokerage, yeah,
well, I was going to mention with VA, they're going to release a circular, I think June 12th. That's going to
okay,
put a temporary suspension on that rule for 2 years until they get some policy put into place.
yeah,
So they know what the end result would be if what you're describing happens to every military. They wouldn't be able to purchase a home,
right,
or they'd have to go a different type of financing, which is going to make things maybe a little bit different on payment, because it would, right? So, from a conventional and an FHA standpoint, one of the things that got released that I can read out regarding the concession limits, they're not considering real estate commissions within the concession dollar amount that's maximized at what down payment this customer is doing, because you have certain concession limits based on what the down payment is on conventional. So if you have a buyer that needs to have the seller pay that commission because the buyer cannot, the seller concessions can pay for that, but it doesn't get figured into the maximum dollar amount. So it's not a customary closing cost, right? It's outside of that. So that is a positive thing. So they've lined up with FHA's ruling on what they consider to be paid on a commission standpoint. So that's a positive thing.
oh yeah,
So like at the end of the day, it sounds like nothing's going to change outside of whether or not, I guess, the seller really wants to compensate, right?
well, and that honestly that's how it was before. That didn't change. Honestly, the biggest,
Yeah.
just can't advertise it on the MLS. Like it's
Right.
literally a phone call. Hey, are y'all paying a commission? Yes or no? What it is? Go on from there. Another change that will for sure be implemented is you have to have a buyer's rep sign before you show a house. We
Yeah.
do that anyways, and generally most, if not all, the brokerages in North Texas do that anyway. So again, it's a lot of stuff on social media. It's probably not helping people getting comfortable with buying their house, especially a first house. But in the larger realm of things, not a lot changed. It's just educating your clients, right? And
Yeah.
that's what y'all are there for. Like you said, the concessions thing. How do you do it? What do we need to do here? VA thing about that getting lifted. That's all great stuff. And it's just it'll probably take through the end of the year before it all gets settled. And honestly, even after that, they're going to have to redo contracts and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it'll take a year or two, but again, in the grand scheme of things, the way we do business really hasn't changed.
That's good to hear. Because when that thing got rolled out, everyone was like, what do we do? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
There was so much panic, right? And, the mortgage world has gone through that numerous times with compliance changes, compensation changes. And at the end of the day, when all the dust settled, it was kind of, nothing really, stuff changed, but, for the better, for
few
the
new
most part.
disclosures, and
Yeah.
you move on down the road.
Yep.
Well, before Rich, did you have anything else on VA?
No, I think we covered everything on your sheet here, unless you got something in addition you want to add.
No, I just wanted to give Billy a chance to kind of close, or before we close with Billy, if somebody is thinking about selling their home, whether it's in the next month or two, 6 months or a year, whatever, what do you think they need to know and be thinking about that maybe they're not thinking about?
In the short term, June and July are historically the highest months for sales. So, and that's not a push tactic. There's plenty of data. We've had a guy from A&M come and talk to us about it, showed us all the graphs. That's the way it is, right? Starts January, goes up to June and July, and then slowly goes. It just is what it is. So as far as short term, if you're really seriously thinking about it, you need to really get with somebody pretty quick. Outside of that, I think y'all talked about this earlier. When's the worst time to buy, best time to buy? We kind of hold the opinion, everybody wants a paycheck, right? There's June, July, there's better times to sell or buy. At the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you. So if that's in November and you need to sell, then you just, you do what you do, and hopefully you get with a good real estate professional. They market it correctly, and you get the most you can. Prices, y'all know this, prices don't plummet outside of June and July. They're just, the market's a little bit different, right? Schools, people have more time, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, not a lot to say on that. We get that question a lot. When should I sell?
Sorry to interrupt. Anything more along the lines of like the house itself? And the reason I'm asking is I'm my personal situation. My folks live in Plano, and we're working on maybe selling their house and getting them moved up here closer to me. And they are kind of procrastinating because Dad keeps saying, I got to fix this. I got to do that. I got to do some landscaping. This house isn't ready for that. And I'm thinking, Dad, no, don't spend that money because it's probably not going to help you at all. Some of it maybe, some of it maybe not. I guess I'm speaking more to that thought. Like, what are your thoughts on somebody that maybe thinks they want to sell, but they're hesitating because they feel like they need to do this, that, or the other? And I know that's a vague question, but do you have a vague answer that maybe answers that or addresses it?
Yeah, sorry, I misinterpreted the question. So it's a case-by-case answer, right? It's also a price point answer, and it's also a goal answer. So, if you want to squeeze every penny out of it, then we're going to do some things, right? Landscaping, we're going to paint, we're going to clean, we're going to do all the things. If you just want a good price and need to get out, major issues, you probably need to fix. Curb appeal, neutral colors, declutter, every client, no matter what price point. It's a good presentation. Outside of that, did I lose y'all again?
Oh,
there you are.
No, there you are.
Okay. I don't know where I dropped off, but
5 seconds, 10 seconds, maybe.
5 seconds, 10 seconds ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In a nutshell, every price point, we declutter, we clean, we paint, we do that, fix major items.
Safe to say, though, that if somebody says, I need to get 400 out of this house and I'm not sure I can right now with the way the house is, they should probably, before they spend money, have somebody like you come into the house, because you might say, no, even without paint, even without doing those things you want to do, you can get 400. Now, if you do those things, we might be able to get you more. But if your goal, you always talk about what is your goal? You always talk about that, Billy, and I think that's so important. If your goal is 400, you don't have to do anything.
Right.
My point is, and that may be the case, may not, but before you spend a bunch of time and money, get a realtor in there that knows the market, and they can tell you if those things need to be done or not to meet your goal.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
Okay. That's all I was getting at.
Yeah. Sorry. I know we cut off in the middle. Again, it was really good stuff. But
it's always your best stuff.
We'll have to get it on the next one.
Yeah. All right.
So Billy, if folks are looking to come your way, how do people get in touch with you? How can they find you?
The best way is just call our office. Stop by. We'd love to see you. Stop by. We're at 162 South Main in Van Alstyne. If they want to give us a ring, 469-625-4080. That rings the office phone. So, we've got 8 great agents in here. Yeah, by no means do you have to use me. Or
what's your email address, Billy?
ntxcrew@gmail.com.
There it is.
Yep.
And how about you, Mr. Ryan? How can people get in touch with you?
214-763-6394, and then R Gibson at AllianceMTGgroup.net.
Awesome. And my name is Richard Sarey with Alliance Mortgage. You can reach me at 214-872-2188, 24/7. Mr. Billy, we appreciate your time. We know you got to go. Love to hear more about your town.
Yeah.
Excited to come out and check it out.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
guys.
You guys have a good day.
You
All right. You too.
We'll see you.
Bye.
If this episode has been beneficial, we'd love to hear from you. Please leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Also, for regular updates and tips, make sure to follow our social media channels, which you can find in the show notes. Until our next episode, keep making homeownership dreams come true.